So the lie about who we are doesn't announce itself. It just becomes the voice we listen to. We're not good enough. We're not ready, or just one more degree. Today, we're going to name it. I hope you are ready. So let's go.
It starts with
Hey everybody, I'm your host, Sheryl, Raphael, Whitaker. It starts with Joy Live.
Are you leading from joy? Joy-led leaders do not wait for perfect conditions. We create the conditions.
I'm a protective strategist, not a deceiver. I'm calling my union rep.
The squad is the jury, love, and they're ready for the truth.
Your inner Beatrice, she's a bodyguard who never got the memo that the threat level changed. If we let that fearful protection run our life, you will spend your entire life preparing for a threat that is never coming. The next step requires one intentional, joy-led move. Failure reveals what you're made of more than Beatrice is willing to let you discover. You've been ready longer than you think. We are moving, and we do not wait for Beatrice to leave the room. We move with her. Our joy, our clarity, our sense of what matters and why this matters has to be louder.
Every Wednesday morning squad, joy in motion, the motion of the ocean. It's time. Let's dance.
All right, so good morning, Joy Squad. Welcome to It Starts with Joy Live, episode 13, and welcome in the chat. I am your guest host for the day, Kristen Crockett, and I am so honored to be sitting in this chair today. So some of you might remember me. I was here back in episode 4, sitting across from Sheryl, talking about human design and about knowing what you're wired for, about leading from who you actually are instead of who everyone else thinks you should be. And Sheryl said something to me that I never forgot after that episode. She said, "You belong in this room." And today she handed me the keys to her seat as the host for the day. So let me tell you where Sheryl is. She's in Miami speaking at a major business expo right now. She's doing what she does, which is really bringing joy and light to a room full of leaders who definitely need it. And she asked me personally to hold this space for the Joy Squad, for you. So I want to thank you in advance for holding this space for me and also for my guest, Derek Canty, that you will meet later on. So today we are opening a brand new cycle 4, week 1, Joy Aware. And Joy Aware is about naming it, right? It is about looking at the thing that has been leading your life, the story, the belief, the voice in your head, and saying it out loud, because you cannot lead from joy until you name what has been leading you instead. And today's guest, he knows this better than almost anyone. Derek Canty is a father. Derek is a husband, a CEO, a coach who has spent nearly 3 decades developing leaders. And here's what makes Derek completely different. He has lived the very thing that we're going to talk about today, the not good enough lie, the one that doesn't go away when you experience success, the one that just morphs into something different. It's the one that shows up in a different costume every time that you think that you have beaten it. So Beatrice and Atlas are with Sheryl, of course, but there are some surprises coming from our Mornings in the Lab network family. We've got your cycle 4, week 1, joy shift homework, and our conversation today is going to help you name something that you have been carrying probably for years. So Joy Squad in the chat, let us know what city that you are watching us from, and network friends, good morning.
Kristen's in the chair, and it's a whole different energy. I'm checking the stats, but I think she's already read my mind.
That's just the Kristen magic, Sterling. No fluff, just the unpolished truth. I'm ready to finally call this lie out.
It's about time. We've all spent years grinding, telling ourselves we're fine while we're actually just running on fumes.
Exactly. You can't lead from joy until you name what's been driving the bus instead. Let's get to it.
The room's yours, Kristen. Tell the Joy Squad what it really means to be joy aware this week.
Love it. And Joy Squad, welcome again. I want to talk about something I see every single day in my coaching practice. And I need to say this really plainly and directly, because I think a lot of us have been living with it for so long that we've stopped noticing that it's there. So there is a lie that most leaders carry. It doesn't sound like a lie. It sounds like I'm just being humble, or it sounds like self-awareness. It sounds like I just want to make sure I'm ready. So let me get this other certification, this other degree. But underneath all of that, underneath all of the preparation, the not resting, the constant need to prove is this whisper. And the whisper is, I'm not good enough. Now, here's what makes this story or this lie so dangerous. It's not static. It's actually very tricky. So you don't just name it once and it's gone. You handle it in one area of your life. So that means you could build a company, you get a promotion, you land a client, and then this voice or this lie doesn't celebrate that with you. It morphs into a new place, right? So it's anybody can do this. This is nothing special. Or sure, this part of your life is great, but what about this other part of your life? Or you got lucky. Don't get comfortable. So where this shows up the most that I see with clients is not celebrating your wins. You can celebrate everybody else when it comes to you. You just handle your wins like it's something next to do on your to-do list, right? So that's done. Let's move on to the next thing. You minimize how much time, how much effort, how long, how many nights that you worked on something. And you just really think that your skills and talents are nothing special, that anybody could be doing what you're doing. But that's what Joy Aware is about. This is week one, brand new cycle. And week one is about naming, not fixing it and not solving it. Right now, we're just naming it. That's it. Because the lie can only run your leadership as long as it stays invisible. And the moment you see it, the moment you call it out, it starts to lose its grip. So today we have someone joining us who has not only coached thousands of leaders through it, he's also lived it. So his name is Derek Canty, and his story is proof that the good enough lie doesn't care how successful you are. It will follow you until you turn around and face it.
Man, Kristen just dropped the mic. That 30% we hide. That's the part that actually does the heavy lifting.
I've seen it in PR for years, Sterling. People are starving for whole humans, not just polished LinkedIn bios.
It's a huge risk. But like she said, coming forward authentically isn't a risk to credibility anymore. It is the credibility.
The data shows it too. Engagement's at a 14-year low because we're tired of the act. We're ready for the unmasking.
Let's see where this goes. Kristen, take us deeper into why the world's finally ready for the whole truth.
So here's the thing about the lie that we tell ourselves. For some people, it's the voice that says you're not enough. But there's another version of this lie that almost nobody names. And this is the one that runs the people who already know that they're gifted. They're not questioning their talents. The lie that says you're going to be the only one. The lie whispers, if they knew the full picture of how you actually see the world, the parts of you that don't fit neatly in a bio, they wouldn't embrace you anymore. So you build this version of yourself that's digestible to the room you want to be in. So you bring 60% of yourself into leadership spaces. And that may mean 70% on a good day, but the rest you're keeping private for specific clients, for close friends, the people who already get it and won't judge you. And it works. It works so well that you get hired on it, you get promoted, you get paid on it. But here's what nobody tells you about the building your career on the 70%. The 30% that we leave out is the part that's actually doing the work. And this is why I want to be transparent with you today, because today's episode is about me, but it's also about you. Because that's the version of the lie that I've carried for such a long time, that I'm going to be the only one. So I'm an executive coach. I'm a leadership and team dynamics expert, and I'm an intuitive. I'm a medium. I'm a healer. I'm a human design expert. I'm a people whisperer. And all of those same things are true at the same time. This is the very first time I'm talking about this publicly, of being a medium and being a healer. So for years, I walked into corporate rooms not talking about a huge part of who I am, right? So that medium part, the channeler, the intuitive, not because I'm not confident in those gifts, because I know that I am really incredible at all of those things. But the fear was that the leadership or the corporate world, like, what would they think of me if they knew all of me, if they knew this entire whole picture? Would I still have clients? So drop some love in the chat if you have hidden your gifts in a room because you weren't sure if they could handle the rest of you. I definitely want to hear from you as well. And for me, the root of that fear was about isolation or being an only, right? So it's the fear of that, being that only in the room who sees you. Like, they know what you know. They don't know what you know. They don't know what you feel, right? So it's not having the language to say that in a room, and also understanding that, people will accept it for what it is. So you learn to play this semantics game, right? So, or you translate things into a very different way, different language. So for me, it was calling my intuition pattern recognition, or you call your read on the team stakeholder dynamics. So you sand off those parts of yourself that sound too different to you. And then you eventually forget that those parts of you are the whole reason that you're so incredible in the first place. So the culture is having this exact conversation right now. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is hitting movie theaters, and the entire press cycle is talking. They're asking the same question about this episode. So 20 years later, we know Andy, Miranda's assistant, right? Meryl Streep's assistant. Did she stay herself, or did the job change her? Did she get that corner office because she had to become someone else, or because she had to hide or give up parts of herself to get there? So that's the question on today's episode. And the whole world is starving for stories about people who got to the top and then asked, what did I leave on the curb to get there? So here's the thing that I want you to know, because if I'm going to name this on a live show, and I want to be clear about what I'm naming and what I'm not. I'm not naming being a fraud. I'm not naming imposter syndrome. I'm not saying I don't believe in what I do. I am saying that I am better at what I do because of all of it. The intuition, the energy I pick up on, the human design lens, the channeling I do for clients, the knowing things with no reason for me knowing things. These are gifts that are not separate from my leadership work. They are my leadership work, right? They are the work. So they're how I see what's actually happening on a team, and they're how I know what a CEO needs before the CEO knows what they need. They're the reason why my coaching lands the way that it does. So what I'm naming is the lie I told myself for years about who could handle the truth. The lie that said that the leadership world would not embrace me if they knew this whole picture. And the lie that said I had to choose either be an executive coach or be the intuitive, or be the leadership strategist or be the medium, right? That lie kept me feeling like I was an only. And the truth that's setting me free is the people I'm here to serve don't need that 70% of me. They need the whole human. They need someone who can read the room and create the strategy, hold space for the strengths, and deeply understand what their soul needs to heal. So my people, my clients, the ones who I work with they're not going to flinch when I show up as my full, complete self. They have been waiting for me to do that. And to anyone watching this and recognizing yourself in this, maybe your version isn't being an intuitive or a medium. Maybe the part that you're hiding is being neurodivergent or failing the bar exam, or the part of you that grew up hearing, we can't afford that, or being from a household where no one communicated their feelings. So whatever the 30% is that you've been keeping out of the room, hear me when I say this. You are not alone. You are not the only one. You have never been the only one. The lie was that you were. Because is at a 14-year low. Employees can spot an inauthentic leader from a mile away. And the ones who do everything for others and because of others, we see this all the time. They're the ones that are burning out. So the most honest ones are being trusted. The people who get followed, or even on TikTok that have this huge following in 2026, aren't the ones with the cleanest bio. They're the ones who let the room see them. And the world is truly starving for whole human beings, right? Whole human beings in leadership seats. So coming forward authentically isn't a risk to credibility anymore. Let me say that again. Coming forward authentically isn't a risk to credibility anymore. It is the credibility. So here's where the unmasking happens for me today. I'm naming out loud for the first time on camera. I'm an executive coach and I'm an intuitive. I'm a leadership and team dynamics expert and I'm a medium. I work with human design. I use intuition as a tool. None of those things make me less than or alone. They allow me to bring even more to the table. And from this point forward, the version of me that you get here and everywhere else is this whole complete one. Because I know that so many people have been waiting for all of those parts to come together. So here's this part that connects to what we do on this show. When fear is leading, the lie that you're the only one makes you overfunction. So you bring the digestible version of you, that 70%, and you build a leadership identity on top of the lie instead of underneath the truth. And it works until it doesn't work anymore, right? So it got you this far, but maybe you realized, like me, that you're playing too small for your gifts. But when joy is leading, when you take that mask off, you name what you are, you stop apologizing for the way that you actually see the world, and you stop watering yourself down for those rooms that, let's just face it, like they weren't gonna ever get you anyway. So you find out that the rooms that are worth being in, they have been waiting for this whole you to show up. So this brings us to you. Number one, what's the 30% of you that you have been keeping out of the leadership room? The part that you only let your closest people or friends see. So name it for yourself. Even if you can't name it out loud yet, I want you to name it for yourself. Number two, where did you learn that the whole you was too much for this room? So what's the voice or experience that told you that? And is that voice still running your career? Number three, if you brought 100% of yourself into the room, like the gifts, the uniqueness, all of it, what would your leadership look like? Who would you actually serve? And who would finally feel less than who would finally feel less alone because you open the door for them to walk through it? That's the thing we have to remember. Anytime that we are 100% ourselves, we are opening that door for other people to come through with us. So drop it in the chat. Tell me the part of you that you've been keeping out of the room. So let's prove it today that you are not the only one. So Joy Squad, go ahead and drop that in the chat. What's the part of you that you've been keeping out of the room? And speaking of not doing this alone, my guest today is Derek Canty, a coach, a mentor, and someone who has spent his entire career empowering others to move past the I'm not good enough lie. So Derek and I have been having this conversation for years off camera, and today we are having it right here in front of you. So Zola, let's introduce my friend and guest, Derek Canty.
Leading isn't about what we see. It starts on the inside, built slowly over time.
Today's guest spent years in corporate strategy at Xerox and P&G. Then he chose a different path.
Joy Squad, we've got Derek in the house. He's a coach who knows the truth about leadership, and he's got something to share right now. He co-founded College Summit. This organization has reached 1.8 million students across the country.
He even led President Clinton's first young adult symposium.
Derek has shaped voices for decades. Winning Edge is the company he founded in Las Vegas. He spent 28 years helping leaders find their real selves. Our guest is here to name a specific lie. It's the story that says we aren't enough.
Derek lives in Nevada as a husband and father. He stays humble as a lifelong learner. Kristen, you're holding the space so well while Sheryl's away. It's a joy to see you hosting.
Joy Squad,
This conversation asks us to quit the performance. We'll discover who we are when we finally decide we're enough.
Derek, welcome to It Starts with Joy.
Derek, welcome, welcome, welcome.
To the Joy Squad.
All right. So before we actually get started in our conversation, and mind you, Derek is one of the ones who for years has said, please come out as a medium, right? So this is a perfect conversation for him. But before we get started, we have a video that I would love. This is our hot take. I'd love your reaction to. So let's go ahead and play that.
I wrote down a bunch of questions on index cards and been asking people to answer them in the street. Today, I'm going to pull one out and just answer it myself. What's a compliment that you have had a hard time accepting? Oof, all of them. But the one that I have a hard time accepting the most is about my work. You know, whenever people say, you're killing it, you're doing such a good job, I always tell myself at this point in my journey, I should have more users, more revenue, more reviews, more downloads. It's hard for me to feel like I'm doing enough. What about you? What's a compliment that you have a hard time accepting?
So I love this. This is Pavel Martinez. He's the founder of the app Plural. So Derek, what do you think about that? Compliments. Let's talk about that. Is there a particular compliment for you that you have a hard time accepting, or at some point earlier in your career?
I think I really resonate with what he's saying. Like for me, all compliments, especially early in my career, were just tough to embrace. And I think it was because I wasn't being always my authentic self. So when somebody would compliment me and say, "Oh man, you did a great job," part of it was hard to accept, because a lot of times as human beings, we don't always say specifically what we're complimenting the person on, right? We kind of say, "Oh, you were great," or "You did a great job." And it's kind of like, oh, for me, that high achiever in me, that not good enough in me, felt I have to do more. That's what they were really saying. So I had to really retrain myself into still embracing compliments. But I think the biggest one was like when somebody would talk about what I would consider my superpower, they would compliment my vulnerability. That was really hard for me to embrace.
So tell me more. So what was it about that complimenting your vulnerability? What was that? What bothered you?
What bothered me was that, early on, that's really who I've always been. I've always been a loving, vulnerable, gentle person. And for many years, it was, I didn't feel like it was safe. Like my program wasn't updated. Like I didn't feel it was safe to show that in society, show that as a Black male, show that in my neighborhood, right? And every time there would be a little bit of a sun ray, say like I did a program or a workshop, maybe in late 20s, and I came out with a different mindset, connected to myself, and I was talking to a couple of my boys at home in New York, and I was like, man, I love you guys. I love you guys. And nobody said that, to your boys, right? And then there was like a rumor going around, months later, like, oh, we think Derek's gay or this and that. And it it hurt me because it came from my heart. And so it kind of shut it down a little bit more. But then I just started seeing that there were certain places where I could actually really show and be my authentic, vulnerable, loving self. And then over time, I had to really practice, like shining the light on that for myself first, so that I can come out of that and be more and more authentically myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's kind of unpack that. Let's go back to what we started off the show talking about, which is that not good enough syndrome that you talk about. So, you also say that once you shatter it in one area, it morphs into something else. So unpack that for us and tell us a little bit about how it showed up for you and where it's shown up since.
I mean, for me, the not good enough, I would call a syndrome, like, that started early on, when I was young. But I didn't really see that and know that. It was just something internally that I felt, and I didn't know what to call it, didn't know what it was. I just felt that. And then sometimes the opposite, right? But it wasn't until I started doing work with kids and doing trainings and self-development, personal trainings to get ready to coach and learn how to coach, young teenagers, that I was like, man, I can, like, to be able to coach another person, you have to be able to look at your own self, right? And so that's when it first came out. And I could see that it traced all the way back to, like, young age, when I was, really stemming from being molested when I was young. And I had to really just do that work to, like, grieve that young Derek that went through that, right? Embrace that, because that's something I always wanted to keep a secret, right? And there's days I feel like I just couldn't look myself in the mirror in certain ways. And so, like, yeah, man, it was really sad. And it was a dichotomy where I knew I was special and great at certain things, but you can't hide from me. So I couldn't hide from myself.
Right.
And the more I worked at shining that light on myself, and really doing, so the work, what it looked like for me was all starting to look at the evidence, like being almost like like you see on TV, like a SVU, cop or something like that. What's their job is to search for evidence, right? Search for clues. And I really had to do the work to like unpack, but really search for the evidence of why I was a outstanding, beautiful, loving, vulnerable human being. And I had a lot of evidence, but if you don't search for it, you never find it.
Yeah.
Makes that.
It's so true. And I think so many people can relate to that, where it's like someone is telling you something, but you're not feeling it. You're not believing it. Right. So I've seen people, like, completely, when they get a compliment, they just push past it. They go to something else. Right. They act like it didn't even exist, or it makes them really nervous and uncomfortable, almost like someone is singing happy birthday to you with 25 people around, right? So I love that, like finding the evidence to really prove, right? To prove to yourself that you are good enough. Love that. Okay. So you've been building the Winning Edge for over 28 years. And so you're coaching other leaders about identity, about self-trust. So how much of that comes from things that you have embodied, that comes from you, right? So tell us about what you had to kind of go through in terms of identity and self-trust in order to coach others about that as well.
I didn't notice at the time. It was relatively a lot younger than I am now, but like it's been a journey for, I would say, 30 something years, and I think coaching, before I can coach somebody else, I had to really go through the journey. But I think for me, I'm always authentic about where I am on my journey, right? This will be a journey that I'll still be on in another 10, 20, hopefully 30, 40 years, right? But it's that not good enough syndrome is something that I have to really just work on over time and start to embrace different parts of myself, right? And that's for me as a leader. I look at it being, when I coach people and being a leader or their best version of themselves, is like, how do we embrace ourselves? How do we authentically embrace all parts? You know what they are, but we're just sometimes afraid. Oh, I was afraid to like say, yes, I am a very gentle, vulnerable, sensitive man. But part of that, who that is, once I can shine that light on it, like that was kind of that behind that secret door of being hid by not good enough, I can actually embrace it and lean into it. And that's the best part of it. Like, I don't have to hide it, and, just being like a girl dad, man, that made all the difference in a lot of ways. My girls, every time I would do work before I had my girls on this for myself, like that next level, I think God put my girls in my life because they were like, it was always a constant work in progress about being vulnerable, about being open, about being sensitive, even being firm. So, shout out to my daughters for helping mold me.
Yes, I love it. That is definitely true about you. From the time that I met you, you've always shown up as, listen, from New York, and also giving people compliments, being vulnerable, teaching me vulnerability, right? Because I was one of those people that grew up in a household where we didn't talk about our emotions. And that is something that you tapped into. But I do want to kind of celebrate you for a second. There was something I learned from you. We were at a training. We were had a really incredible server. And next thing I know, you're calling the manager over. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my God, he's going to, report that. Like, she was great. And so then the next thing you do with the manager and the server there is you're like, hey, I just wanted to let you know she was incredible today. Right. So I think for you, I learned how to celebrate people in moments when, they deserve celebration. So talk a little bit about that as well. That's seeing the full self in another way through celebrating others.
So part of doing the work, what's been a blessing, has opened up for me, and I feel like this has been a gift that I've had my whole life. I can hear people. I can hear people's hearts, and that's a beautiful gift to have. But I can only access that unless being my vulnerable, authentic self. I can only be vulnerable, right? Unless I'm leaning in past that fear. And so, yeah, like that's for me that's what the tough part was. It was like consistently leaning into that fear, consistently leaning in to, that inauthenticity, right? Like, how do I push past that fear? And so, yeah, like for me, it's being able to see people. I wanted to always be able to appreciate and acknowledge people. I think that's a lost gift that we have as human beings. How do you go to the post office or go to a 7-Eleven and be open to seeing and thanking a person for, what they did? Hey, man, thank you, man. You know what? Thank you for saying good morning to me. You were the first person. I've been up for 2 hours and you're the first person to say good morning to me. That made me feel really seen and good. And the person will kind of be like, huh? Because we're not used to acknowledging and appreciating other human beings.
Not at all.
We feel like, and we want to use the excuse that, oh, I only do that to my family or people I know. Well, we really don't do that much to our family and the people we know. How do we go and say, hey, wife, Dawn, I love you. And I love you because I love the loving way that you made my meal last night. I saw that you actually took your time every second over that stove to watch how, the meat was brown. I mean, the specificity lets people know that, oh, wow, he does really see me. And so you can use it at the same way, and not just in your relationships, but at work, in all parts of your life. But it allows people to feel like they're being seen and appreciated.
So speaking of Dawn, your wife, and your personal life, let's talk about how this lie of the not good enough, right? How did that show up in your personal life throughout your life?
I think, how it's shown up in my personal life was, I would say, especially in dating and over time, like I could always, I think I could always attract another quality human being most times. And I think when we got into a relationship, no, it's not everyone, but when we got into a relationship, it was a part of me that that not feeling good enough would come up, and I would be leaning in a little bit. And when that not good enough would kind of rear its head, saying that you're not worthy for this relationship or happiness, I would completely lean out. And that would mean I would maybe ghost that person, that I wouldn't, I would just start disconnecting emotionally, right? And say, well, what's going on, Derek? No, I'm good. What's going on with you? And I would deflect it. And it had nothing to do with the other person. It all had to do with me, that when you get to that place, and I didn't have the courage to always lean in past that vulnerability and fear of connecting with somebody at a different level, I would just automatically pull out. And so for me, that showed up a lot. What was different for my wife was that, man, we had both come out of divorces and really had to rebuild ourselves in our life. And so when we met and got together, right, and we put our cards on the table. It was like, hey, here's what my, in my deepest, darkest days, and the moments when I'm not feeling myself, here's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And here's why. And we shared that, and she would share hers. So we know. So when that shows up in our relationship today, what happens is we can challenge each other on that, or we can gently, highlight that and kind of pull that person, into the light, and just give them a little embrace and I know where you're at, and I know what you're feeling, but I want you to know that you are good enough for me, and here's why.
Love that. Love that. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Keep it coming. We see all of these incredible comments. Love it. Marlene says, we human beings are remarkably similar, but we keep our demons in the closet. Absolutely. Right. So let's talk a little bit about, so here's a question. Oh, sorry. How can leaders create an environment where they unmask and show their full, authentic selves? Okay. So that is the question. So Derek, what would be your response to that? So you did it with vulnerability.
Did it with vulnerability. I think when you're talking around working with your team, we always would definitely create, what's our kind of our team, ethos around how are we gonna participate or be with each other, right? And a lot of times people want to say, yeah, I want to be authentic. I want to be straightforward. And the one thing that I always do with teams when I'm leading them or training them, I'm going to be authentic. And a lot of times I'm going to show and tell what my mistakes have been, right? There are times we're so driven at being a perfect culture, perfect people in a perfect culture. And I think it's important for leaders to be able to share. There are times when I've made this mistake, or I didn't hit the mark. And you being the leader, everybody else will be like, whoa. And I'll give them permission to be able to say, yes, not only did I make mistakes, but they'll be able to like start to show their authentic selves a little bit more, right? Because again, as the leader, you leaned into it. It's not our job as leaders to say, be authentic, and then we have to be perfect. It's actually, how do we show people that you can still be imperfect and still lead and be your best version of yourself?
Absolutely. And I think, when we look at, I can think of my parents where it came to a point where I never really heard either of them apologize up until a point where my dad started apologizing for things a lot. And it also makes you respect them more, right? So it definitely makes you respect them more when they are apologizing or when they're naming the mistake that they made. I saw that Kima just said perfectionism is my struggle. One thing I always like to share is that perfectionism and creativity, they're polar opposites, right? The more perfect you are, the less you can create, because the founder, the creator of the Super Soaker, that was created by a mistake. He was working on a refrigeration unit and something shot across the room, right? So we do definitely, to your point, have to model making mistakes and being accountable for them and not being perfect, right? All right, so let's kind of talk a little bit, Derek, about right now you are deconstructing the grind, right? And after your mom's death, it's really looking at when you're running your life with joy versus the grind. So tell me about the realization and tell me about how you are actually doing that, deconstructing the grind.
Yeah, I mean, it, like Kristen, like you said, just, I think being like really authentic and being honest with myself was part of it. We have gone through a lot of different things personally at home, and Dawn losing her stepfather, and last year, and then me losing my mom's, and really caring for them, for a couple of years before that. We we ended up kind of crashing to a level, and that was good, because out of that I can kind of come out of the ashes and be willing to deconstruct. But what I saw was that, man, I've been grinding too much, and that's a part of that perfectionism that's been happening for years, and that's been driven by that not good enough. Right? I want to be enough. I want to be good enough. And that's driven by that then drives the perfectionism. And then that drives the lack of grace for yourself and for myself, and making mistakes or feeling like, okay, I only got that 98, but I'm gonna get that 99, 100 next time. It's giving that grace to myself, sitting back saying, hey, you know what is it that I want? What will make me happy? Even spending which a coach of mine said, I want you to spend 5 minutes in nature and don't do anything else. Just be in nature for 5 minutes. That was the hardest thing I'm doing currently, because it's not even about sitting there. It's just carving out 5 minutes for myself just to sit, listen, and be in nature. Because I've always been doing it for somebody else. That's where I kind of got the juice from. That was my juice. I would do for others, and I do love for doing for other people that I love, and people I even don't know sometimes. However, like, that became that mask. That became like, if I do, I'll feel it, and then I can just keep going on. And the last person that was on the end of the line to get the love, to get the attention, to get the caring was me.
Absolutely.
I was giving it to everybody else. So deconstructing it was slowing down. It was being more intentional about how I start my mornings, how I start my day, with maybe some gratitude, with some breathing, sometimes with taking a walk and then yoga. But like, man, just doing different things that would help slow me down. The opposite happens for, we live in a world where everything's sped up.
Yes.
And even internally in here, we are always on to the next thing, right? I got. And I'm really trying to do the reverse, right? Not like I can't go out and work and make a living and enjoy what I do, but it's really deconstructing now, like what do I want? What brings me joy? If I have a contract, I had to, and this is for different parts of your life, sometimes early, to feed my family, I took the contract, whether it didn't bring me joy or not. Now I'm at a place where I can make a choice. I only do things that bring me joy. Getting up at 5 a.m. and talking to you, right? Like, brings me joy. I hate to admit it, Kristen, but it brings me joy.
I'll take it. Okay. Yeah. So Derek, let's kind of close this out with one final question. So for the Joy Squad, if they are dealing with the not good enough lie, and that's running their leadership, and they can feel it and they can name it, but they haven't been able to break it, where does the shattering start, and what would you tell them about that?
I would say the shattering start with your closest inner circle and share that with your best friend. Share that with another person that you love in your life and your best friend. I guarantee you they'll be able to understand, and they'll probably share something that been holding them back in that same vein. A lot of times it might be the same thing, like, man, I can really resonate with that. Like, I feel not good enough as well. And so I think one of the things is just kind of shedding the light on, shining the light on it. So it's not that feeling of shame. It's not that feeling of, the more I talk about it, the more I shed the light on it with myself or other people, strangers, my wife, it shines a light on it. And so I'm not in the shadows feeling ashamed, feeling like unmotivated or frozen, like I can't move. And so I think that's one of the biggest things. And then I think the other thing is learn how to be gentle with yourself, to give yourself grace. It's okay. And that allows me to embrace like everything that's happened to me. I can't be this amazing man and father and person and leader without embracing some of the dark moments in my life. All of it's made me who I am. So it's embracing as well. And then I said, like, the third part is being that CSI detective, like really like making notes every day. Like, what's the 3 things I really want to appreciate about myself and who I was today? And sometimes I can come up with things really quick, but in the beginning, I had to really search through my day and look through my day to see what were things I really appreciated about how I handled myself today, right? So yeah, and that was part of a shining light for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Derek, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely are so thankful. Thank you for getting up at 5 a.m. on the West Coast to be with us and for sharing your story. So with that, Joy Squad, we have learned a lot from Derek about the not good enough lie, deconstructing the grind, and being authentic. So drop in the comments which insights from Derek hit you the most. What resonated with you the most? Okay. And while you are doing that, it is actually time for your homework. Okay. So let's talk about
Derek is right about the grind. It's a shapeshifter. You beat it in the boardroom, and it follows you home to the dinner table.
Exactly. It doesn't disappear, it just changes clothes. That is why naming it is the only way to stop the ambush.
Naming it sounds simple, but it's the hardest play. It's how you move from survival mode back to center.
It's the beginning of everything. Once you've got its name, it doesn't get to drive your leadership anymore.
All right, Joy Squad, let's get tactical. Kristen, walk us through the shifts that turn this name into action.
All right, Joy Squad, this is your homework. So week 1, cycle 4, Joy Aware. We are at the very beginning, and beginnings are all about the naming. So you can't lead from joy until you name what has been leading you instead. So we're going to talk about that. So this week's Joy Shift, naming the lie. Step 1, name your specific flavor. Is it the not good enough lie? Is it something else? Right? Is that the umbrella? But this lie always gets personal. So name your version of it, right? Is it not smart enough? Is it not experienced enough? Is it, I need to get that other degree or credential? Is it not credible enough? Is it not ready yet? Or everyone's going to figure it out if I don't actually belong here. So get very specific about it, because generic lies are easy to dismiss. And the specific ones are the ones that have been running your leadership. So write it down, say it out loud, give this lie a name, right? Give it a name. What's their name? Because unnamed things have unlimited power, okay? Step 2, let's track the morphs. So how is it shifting and changing in one area of your life, right? So the not good enough lie is a shapeshifter. You beat it in one place and then it moves, right? So let's track it. Where did it start? What experience led to it? And where has it shown up since? So maybe it started as not smart enough early in school, morphed into not connected enough when you tried to build your network. Maybe it was not experienced enough at the beginning of your career and then became not visionary enough, right? Not creative enough. So after you made it to the top, we create this other lie that we have for ourselves. Every time that we move up, we create a different lie. So follow the trail, and the trail, let's look at the fact that this lie has a history. And when you can see the whole timeline, it loses the power to ambush you and to sneak up on you when you least expect it. Okay. All right. So we also have one more. We have, give me 1 second. Lost my place, but let's kind of go back. All right. So we've got the name your specific flavor, track the morph, and then we've got the naming practice. Okay. So this one is pretty simple, and it's really about everything. So next time it shows up, don't argue with it. Just sit with it. Okay. Don't try to logic your way out of it, and just say, this is the lie. I see you. Right. Okay. So it's not, so this is really about, just like I said, sitting with it. Right. Not you're wrong, not shut up, but just not a performance of confidence that you don't feel. Just, I see you. Just let it hit you. I see you. I know what you are, and I'm not letting you drive. That's what this is about, not letting the lie drive. The goal of Joy Aware isn't to eliminate the lie. It's to stop being thrown off by it, to stop being ambushed by it. So it's to put your hand up and say, I see you. I know your name. And knowing your name means that you no longer let that particular lie run things for you. Okay. So that's Joy Aware. That's your homework. So go to It Starts With Live. Go to It Starts With Joy.live and tell us, what is your specific version of I'm not good enough? And where has it morphed for you? Go ahead and drop it in the Joy Squad community, because you're not the one who's carrying this alone, right? We know that so many of us are carrying lies as well. So saying it out loud in a room full of people who understand, who are also going through this is the beginning of everything. Okay. So with that, we want to definitely thank Derek for being with us. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you. And remember your homework. Okay. So you've got one.
Watching Kristen unmask like that is the real high performance. Being the rock doesn't mean you never rest.
It's the ultimate rep, Sterling. Momentum isn't magic. It's about showing up as a whole human every single time.
That's the legacy. Your family isn't looking for a hero who's dying on the job. They just want you home and whole.
One excuse out, one action in. Joy Squad, we see you. Now go name that lie and take your power back.
Final words are yours, Kristen. Take us home and let's keep this joy in motion.
So Joy Squad, that was episode 13. Thank you so much for your grace for me today as your host. Before I let you go, I want to say something. So I've been in this space coaching leaders, working with human design and emotional intelligence for years. And I've sat across from hundreds of people, and I watched all of them carry this exact same thing. It's the lie. It's the morph. It's the performance built on top of a story that was never true to begin with. And today, Derek Canty sat in the same chair and did what most people don't do. They named it, not just professionally, but also personally. So he let you see the entire full picture of who he is, the moments where the lie ran his life before he decided it wouldn't anymore. So that's what joy aware looks like in practice. And that's what we encourage you in this community to do as well. So Derek, thank you. Thank you so much for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for who you are, and for 28 years of space, for all of us, creating space and also working so hard to make sure that we bring who we are to these spaces. And for showing the Joy Squad what it looks like when you finally choose embodiment over performance. So your joy shift for this week, 3 steps: name your specific flavor, track the morph, and the next time the lie shows up, call it out. That's the lie. I see you. And practice that. It changes everything. So next week, Sheryl is back in a chair with you. And on Wednesday morning, you will see her right again, Joy Squad. So come find us at itstartswithjoy.live. Subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us what landed for you today. This community is where the work gets real. So I'm Kristen Crockett, and I want to thank you for watching. And Sheryl, thank you for trusting me with your show. Your community, your people showed up today. And this show, it's even more beautiful from this side of the chair. So in this battle between fear and joy, please let joy win. And thank you for watching. Bye, everybody.
Kristen's intuition is no joke. I'm usually the one framing the room, but she had me pegged before I even sat down.
Tell me about it. I'm over here checking reps, and she's out there naming lies I didn't even know I was carrying.
She honors the story behind the bio. That's the Crockett way. It's been beautiful watching you two hold this heart space.
I hope Beatrice isn't giving Sheryl and Atlas too much of a hard time over in Miami.
All I know is Sheryl might have a hard time getting her keys back from Kristen after this one. What a fun morning.
Loved it. Let's get back to the lab, Maya, and Joy Squad. Until next time, keep dancing.